The United States is facing a lawsuit by the father of the so-called ISIS bride. This is a young woman who defected from the United States and traveled to Syria in order to join ISIS. Now, she is attempting to come back to the United States, but the US is essentially refusing to allow her to return, and they're arguing that she is not a US citizen, even though she was born in New Jersey. Now, she was born to a Yemeni diplomat, and so they're arguing, even though she was born in the US, in New Jersey, she was born to a Yemeni diplomat, and as a result, that's a technicality. She's not really a US citizen. But before we get to the details of the story and what she did, understand that she did have a US passport, and it seems awfully convenient for the Trump administration to now turn around and say that she's not a US citizen. But this is a complicated story, and what she did was terrible, and I want you to have all the information. So with that said, let's go to the first video.
Hoda Muthana is begging for a second chance.
I'm just a normal human being who has been manipulated once and hopefully never again.
4 years ago, when she was 19 years old, she left her Alabama home and hopped on a plane with a plan to join ISIS. She says she'd been brainwashed into thinking she was answering a higher calling.
Do you remember like waking up in the morning and thinking today is the day?
I was very active online, and I've heard of women going, and then I thought to myself that I need to go.
So she was radicalized online. It always blows my mind that happens, that anyone living in the United States can be convinced that it's far smarter to go to any country, Syria, to join ISIS. But she argues that she was afraid that she was going to hell if she didn't do this, that she was living in sin, typical nonsense, radical religious talk. But I also want to make sure that people understand what she did while she was an ISIS bride. So she did help them. She put out all sorts of crazy tweets encouraging Americans to carry out violence against other Americans, to also join ISIS. And it wasn't really until ISIS was almost nearly defeated in Syria where she changed her mind. Now, she also was married 3 times. Of course, these were forced marriages, and she became pregnant in her 3rd marriage and had a baby. And so she's now arguing, I want a better life for my child. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to come back to the United States.
I'm always amazed at how the people can be manipulated online like this. And look, not very bright to think that, I'm gonna go to ISIS and they're gonna treat me great. I read a story way earlier than this on earlier ISIS brides, and they go there and they get assigned a husband. So already that sounds amazing. And then, but at some point, a lot of the husbands go to do suicide bombing. So they go and they blow up, and then they go, now you have a new husband. And they go, what do you mean I have a new husband? Right. Well, your old husband blew up. So here's your new husband, and again and again and again. Same thing happened to her.
That's
and they don't read those articles. They don't, I don't know, they don't believe anything, I guess, other than some random dude online who's telling you how great it is gonna be to murder people. So we got no love for her. And when she comes back to America, she's gonna stand trial. And she could go away for a very, very long time, okay? So, and I know the right wing is very simple-minded. So they go, me no like ISIS bride, take away citizenship. But wait a minute, this isn't about the ISIS bride. If you allow the government to randomly take away anyone's citizenship without a trial, without going in front of a court, then when they don't like what you do, they can take away your citizenship.
Also, there are laws to take into consideration. So for instance, the Trump administration is pressuring other countries, England for instance, to take in some of these radicalized ISIS members and bring them to court. But the laws in some of these countries are not as solidified, I guess, or as harsh as our laws here in the United States. So we have an entire legal system centered around this very issue, so we can bring someone like Hoda Muthana to justice, right? So I agree in that you set a terrible precedent when you just revoke someone's citizenship because you don't want to deal with them and go through due process. But she should be brought to justice. I think we deserve that. I think that she deserves that as someone who was born in the United States, who had US citizenship. She should be brought to justice. And we have, she could be charged with treason. It's not like she's gonna come here and we're gonna be like, oh yeah, cool, go to Disneyland, you're free.
I'm gonna be even harsher. Honestly, this is a stupid decision on her part. If she comes back here, a life sentence is very possible.
Very likely.
So she makes one stupid decision after another, but I don't care about that. I care about the precedent. So now let's dive into the details of this particular thing. They say, well, the State Department did give her a passport, which means she's a citizen. And at the time, the father had given the documents over that showed that she was born here and a citizen. And so the State Department agreed. They renewed her passport, which means they doubly agreed that she's a citizen. And so why is this even an issue? It is true that if you're a diplomat here and you have diplomatic immunity, your kids being born here does not necessarily mean that they're a US citizen. That is the one exception to being born in America. But he has paperwork that the State Department has agreed is real and true, and why they gave her a passport in the first place that shows he was no longer a diplomat. So that exception does not apply. But at a bare minimum, you would go to court, give her due process, and you would look at all the paperwork.
Right.
When did he stop becoming when did he stop being a diplomat? Was the State Department right in its first two assessments? Or are they right now when they don't give any reason but just go, I just revoked it? But wait a minute, did you go through the process? The State Department has a process for revoking citizenship if there is a misunderstanding, a miscommunication, whatever it might be. Did you go through that process? No, because it's Trump. He just goes, no, I don't, and he said it in a tweet. I don't want her in the country. And I told Pompeo, and Pompeo agrees. We don't want her in the country. No, we're a country of laws. You have to go through a process, you have to go through courts, because otherwise, then we are at the mercy of a king. And you mysteriously, the right wing likes this orange king who is a child and acts capriciously. But okay, right wing, what if Obama were president and he could just take away anybody's citizenship? What if Hillary, what if Bernie became president and you think he's a socialist, etc.? What if he was like, you know what? New rule is we don't need rules, just like Trump said. In fact, that's not even a new rule. You agreed to that rule when you let Trump take away people's citizenship willy-nilly without going to the courts. Okay, you're no longer American citizens. Get the hell out of here, okay? Or hey, you went to vacation in Canada. Well, that was a fun idea. I revoked your citizenship. You're not allowed to come back. So you say, wow, that won't happen. Yeah, of course, progressives are more decent and actually care about the law than Republicans. That's true, okay? But it could happen, and maybe it's not gonna happen with Bernie because he's a decent and smart person. But what if it's a person on the left that is more radical? It doesn't matter. Follow the goddamn law.
Exactly.
It's not that complicated.
Exactly. And then one final thing, and I feel like this might not be a great point given the administration we're dealing with, an administration that has no interest in learning anything, a president who has no interest in intelligence briefings. But nonetheless, she got radicalized online. She wants to come back to the United States. She should be brought to justice. But there's also another benefit of bringing her to the United States and having a conversation with her and understanding how it was that she was radicalized. So you can learn as a government what you can do to prevent that from happening in the future, right? I mean, that's an important source of intel that the Trump administration seems to have absolutely no interest in. I don't know, am I crazy for making that point?
No, of course. And so look, I have two last points. One is they're just arbitrarily calling her a terrorist. You could make that case, and I don't know that that's a thing that revokes somebody's citizenship, but again, you go through the courts, etc. Now, right wing, you sure they're not gonna call you terrorist for all the hateful things that you say and do? You sure about that? I mean, almost all the terrorists in this country now, domestic terrorists, are right wingers. So they're clear terrorists. But are you terrorist adjacent? Are you sure that you're okay? All right, you get it. Secondly, John McCain was not born in this country. He was born in Panama. And they said, well, I mean, technically he's on a military base, whatever. We'll just say that that's US territory, kind of isn't. But we're not gonna adjudicate that. He's an American citizen, he can run for president. Okay, Ted Cruz, not born in America, and his parents were clearly Canadian citizens when he was born. They were voting in Canada as Canadian citizens. No question. He has no claim to a natural born citizenship in America. Don't care. He says he's an American, so it is. So now people born in America, not necessarily American. People not born in America, definitely American. as long as they're Republican and conservative. By the way, do we have a deal? Because I wasn't born in this country, but according to the Ted Cruz ideology, that's it. I'm an American. I'm just as much of a natural-born citizen as he is. All of a sudden, the right wing, no, wait a minute, but you weren't born here, but neither was he. But your parents at the time weren't citizens, neither was his. Okay, so understand that you actually should try principles for a change and hold people to the same principles, no matter where they are, no matter how much you disagree with them. So we all disagree with the ISIS bride. We all can't stand what she did. We think it's incredibly stupid and violent and dangerous. But we think she should stand trial and that we should not destroy our laws because of where somebody stands on any spectrum. So, but these are the guys who said they voted for Trump because he believed in rule of law. Hilarious. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.